Every morning's a dance party.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Good morning, everybody. We are a little bit early today. Sarah went on vacation. Terry, where did Sarah go? I don't remember.
All I know is she's floating on the sea, enjoying life. That's all I can say. The favorite place to be.
She's on a cruise. She is such a cruiser. So she went on vacation, and this is Terry. Terry is phenomenal and amazing, and she is with Harmony 818 Travels. She is a huge part of the Keystone Network, working inside of DMS Collective and doing all kinds of fun stuff that Terry is about. So, Terry, give us just a quick hello. Who are you?
Hey, you guys. Well, before I say who I am, you didn't say anything about you, Brittany, and Biz
Yeah, I
Storm.
know because everybody here knows me.
I don't give a doggone, okay? Brittany is phenomenal. One of the things that stood out to me is her ability to help others be accountable and her candidness behind that and really digging deep to get down to the root cause on what may be the issue and why you can't be accountable, not to anybody else, but to yourself. So if you haven't had a chance to talk to Brittany, do so. Now, she asked me a question, so I'm going to be obedient. I am Terry with Harmony 818 Travels. I am an independent travel agent, and I love helping others be able to uh, have seamless opportunities to cruise peacefully without the stress of doing all the booking. Also, help others as it relates to purchasing travel insurance, not just for their cruises, but all their other trips and vacations. In addition to, when you go on vacation, you want to have fun. So I help them plan their activities. But today, we're going to talk more about business. And there's another side of what I love to do. And that is help people find financial stability through supplementing their income as starting their own travel agency. So that's where my heart is.
I love it. All right, everybody. So, one of the great things about Unleashed and the Keystone Network is that we have such a great community of business owners. And Terry and I were thinking about what did we want to talk about, and one of the things that we really wanted to talk about was business and really just how you can be present in your business, but also like what does that look like to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. And so we've got three little topics that we're going to go over a little bit of, but one is growth versus capacity. And right now, this is one of those things that I'm really struggling with. Because for me right now, my capacity for my business is not very much. I've been talking about it, and I got another job, and just trying to really work. What does that schedule look like, and what does my business look like? The capacity that I have for my business, to be quite frank, is zero right now. I do show up at different times for different things, but I'm not so much showing up for my business. So when you're looking at your business, the more that your business grows, the more capacity is required, the more energy, the more time. And so you want to look at the different types of growth inside of what does that mean? If I'm growing one-to-one clients, then that's, hourly, all of these clients are taking up all these hours. If I am growing group, then it's okay, we have this group, it's within this confined space. And so what's that growth look like, and what does that capacity look like for you as a business owner? Terry, what are your thoughts on growth versus capacity?
Being the fact that this is my second business, I have another business that I've been fortunate enough to retire out. But the biggest thing that I can think that can help one with their capacity is when they decide to start a business, to sit down and have a game plan, to really figure out, okay, what is my goal? but having a structure in order to get there. Because realistically, most businesses do not blow up at once. You know, there are some instances that things go viral and then there they go. But in most instances don't. So you have to sit back and think about how much time am I going to invest in working in my business versus, you know, working on my business versus in my business. And then finding those times to stay committed and make non-negotiables in that. Where if you do service work, is taking that time to say, hey, look, I'm going to spend so many hours making the phone calls, doing the post, and doing non-negotiables. If you're more building relationships, then figuring out time blocks of when you're going to do social media, when you're going to do outreach, things of that nature, and maybe working off your calendar.
I think that's huge, right? Those systems and that structure that you have built is going to help you with that capacity. When I have a client that I was talking to yesterday, and we set aside 2 hours a week for them to do social media. And they were like, hey, I was able to get an entire month's worth of content done in that, in that whole 2 hours the other day. And I said, that's phenomenal. That now means that the next 2 hours you get to work on a different campaign, right? And so as you start to get better, because before that 2 hours was taking a little bit more of her time, and now as she's getting used to it, as she's getting into that phase of things, she's able to now take that 2 hours and say, okay, well, now I can do the next campaign. Now
Yeah,
I can do this. And so when you start to create that structure and you start to create that calendar, as you get better at it, as you, like you were talking about with outreach, as you get more knowledgeable inside of the conversation, right? The same words, the repetitiveness, and not necessarily the repetitiveness of the same thing, but the repetitiveness of your message, the repetitiveness of what you're trying to accomplish, right? When when your foundation is solid because you're using the same terminology, you're using the same goals, you're going to the same direction, every time you open up to do a project, you know this is the goal and you're able to stick to that timeline a lot better.
yeah. If I can add to that, Brittany, sometimes as business owners, we could work so hard in creating the new and the flashy things, but sometimes it's the small, simple things, doing it consistently and perfecting that to make it duplicatable processes that may seem mundane, but the consistency over and over again will yield results if you stay faithful.
Yep. And I like that. We don't always have to do the new, right? It's get what is done established.
Mhm.
Focus on what you have. And once that's established, once that's second nature, once that's continuous, then you can see, okay, is there something new that I need to do? Or is there something that I need to tweak, right? Because really giving things 3 months that's the short term. Long term, we want to give a process 6 months to see if it's working or panning out, right? So within those 3 to 6 months, you can kind of see the small tweaks that need to be adjusted. And that's a huge thing. So give yourself time to see what's working and what's not working.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. Here's something. So we have some notes just because, guys, I need notes because but one of the things that's in here, it says pacing, recognizing limits, building support. But when you're looking at pacing, that's kind of the struggle that I have right now, right? For me right now, I took on a job that is the third shift. So I'm working overnights. well, what does that look like for me to run a business during the day? When do I sleep? When do I run my business? Um, and I thought I could do something, and it really, the way that I was going to structure it, I didn't have energy
Mhm.
or a want to, right? When you're so tired, you don't want to do things because your body is exhausted. So, really listen to yourself inside of what you're doing with your business. You can work a job and you can work your business. You just want to make sure that you're giving everything space, including yourself, that time to rest. I think that's huge. So, Terry, anything on that one?
Um, I don't disagree with that. I have found the opposite, though, in some instances, Brittany, to be fully transparent. I sit back and I think about my goals with my company, and I know my why and what I'm trying to accomplish. And one thing that I need to realize is not to let my why be my why not.
Mhm.
So, what I mean by that is it becomes an excuse for me. It had where I had to realize I need to press through the discomfort, press through the I don't feel like it, press through the but I rather, because at the end of the day, if I do what those small, uncomfortable things and press through, then eventually it wouldn't be an issue because I've achieved my goals. And now those things seem easier because now I have that free time. So I've learned to make small sacrifices in order to get ahead at where I am in my season with my business.
Yep. I love that. And that does put into perspective, right? There's times where you just get it done.
Mhm.
There's times where you just sit down and you get it done. And it goes into that. What are those small tasks? What are the tedious parts of your business where you set aside some time and you're like, this is going to be the day I don't like. This is going to be my day where I do the things that are back behind the scenes or that are in front of the scenes. Every business owner has their kryptonite in their business, right? And so you really want to make sure that you're measuring that and making sure that it's getting that attention, that you are pulling through and you are getting through the mundane and the tedious for whatever that looks like for you as a business owner. So I think that's really important. Thank you for talking about that, Terry.
But it's so funny when you said that. I had, I was, I was cracking up in the inside. I remember doing residential cleaning, and I remember I do not like cleaning bathrooms. I can't stand it. But when I would go into a home, that would be the first thing that I would clean is the bathroom.
Hmm.
I would get what I did not like to do out of the way in the beginning. So it's done. And then I can concentrate on the things that I like to do better. And that's the same thing that I carried on in this business, is to do the things, the tedious tasks that are, oh, and then get it out. And so you can concentrate on the stuff that you enjoy.
Yep. And that's your prize, right? Okay, if I can get this checklist done, then I get to do my fun stuff. And it instead of, okay, all my fun stuff is over and now I have to dread the rest of my day, right? It helps you to build that mindset. It helps you to build that capacity in different things. And I think that that really looks at the next topic that we have, which is when growth requires letting go, right? Sometimes as you grow, sometimes as you build, there are things that get let go. There's projects that you thought you were going to do that just don't make sense anymore, or there are things that you were doing that aren't bringing income in, or and so you really have to evaluate, what is it that I let go of? And sometimes we hold on to things because they're easy, or for me, I hold on to some specific things because I feel like if I do it better or I market it better, it will be profitable. I don't need to hold on to the things that aren't working, right? Um, and we tend to not think about that. We tend to just think, this is what I want. I'm going to hold it, whether or not it's showing its numbers, whether or not it's showing that thing. It might be something that brings you joy, but if it's not bringing you the right people, if it's not bringing your business that growth, then it does need to be let go of.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I think the initial thing that would be crucial for a business owner is mindset. Um, Mindset. Sometimes it's ego that can get in our way as business owners. So it's always great to have leaders that are expertise in the field that you're in. If you're an employee in a call center, who is that top performer? If you're out here in landscaping, who is that person that's getting the most deals? Whatever the case may be, and look at what they're doing, their expertise in their field. If they're not out there recreating the wheel and they're just going out there, how did you do all this? I did the work. But no, didn't you? I did the work. So sometimes it's the mind that it and the way of thinking that has to be learned to be let go of first before new habits, new skills, before anything. It's the shift in the mind. So that's the biggest thing that I think once your mind is open, then it gives so much more opportunity for growth in
Yep.
any arena.
Yeah, and I love what you were saying about, like, what are the other business owners working on? What are other people doing that are yielding success, not recreating the wheel, right? Not redoing these things, but also what are they doing that I can then do? How can I turn this into something that works for me? Um, we we see it all the time, and inside of the Keystone Network, we have so many people with so many talents. Forrest is amazing at doing videos, right? If we if we were all like, we want to do videos like Forrest can do videos, we would be on top of that. But we get to watch Forrest, and then we get to learn from, okay, this is how he does things. These are what he does. So when we do a video every once in a while, we can take that knowledge and put it into that. Terri, you are phenomenal at your outreach. You're phenomenal at how you really grasp people. Your posts have been on point lately. Um, Dominic is always showing up for people. He's always, really great at his posts and inside of different spaces. And so when you're looking at other people, there are those moments as well where everybody makes it look easy, right? Remember that it's not. And so you can't do all the things, but you can do what works best for you. And letting go of, well, Forrest does videos and Terri has really great photos and Sarah does phenomenal, her, why can't I think of what it is? Substack. Sarah's Substack, right? I can't do videos, Substack, and all of the posting and all of these things. I cannot do all of those things. But what I can do is I can manage my space. I can let go of not being everybody, and I can work on what is working for me and take ideas and use that existing wheel to grow and do bits and pieces.
Yeah. And it's so often that people want to compete with
Mhm.
others. The thing about it is a friendly competition, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't compare. Because somebody else's journey, we don't know what they had to go through in order to get to where they are now. In addition to the fact that while we're observing the positives, we also need to observe the opportunities, because sometimes looking through the lens of what somebody else is opportunities may be stepping stones for us to be able to prevent. Because, some people may be honest, say, hey, Brittany, this may not work because when I did XYZ, don't gatekeep. As a business owner, I love the Keystone Network because we get an opportunity as a group of entrepreneurs to be able to co-work in a space, but also share our experiences. And by sharing our experiences, it gives us an opportunity to learn from each other.
Yep. And that's when you talk about gatekeeping, right? We see so many people who are like, "Oh, let me make you a $6,000 figure monthly in your first month of business." No, you can't do that. Like there to even acquire the amount of people in 1 month to make a $6,000 figure, right, is ridiculous. And when they're gatekeeping these secrets, right, or when they have this whole thing, it really is, you know what? Some of these things I know several business owners have tried and they did not work for them. Some of them I know that, they were able to take bits and pieces and learn and make it something that was functionable for them. But it really does come into that space of being honest. Hey, I did this, and these were one, it was time consuming. Two, what I ended up doing to save my time was A, B, and C, right? So as we share our experience of doing things, we can then share how did we work it? How did we tweak it? How did we make this better? Um, and we get to really learn each other because I know there's times, Terry, where I've seen you look at somebody in the Keystone Network and say, hey, I don't think that that will work for you because I've seen how you process, but what if you tried it this way? Right. Or, and we do that a lot of, hey, remember when you tried this process and it kind of didn't work? I see that going this way. So what if we did it this different way, right? And really being able to support each other because as entrepreneurs and as business owners, when we do business by ourselves, if we're isolated, right? And this goes back to that call center. If we're isolated, then there is nobody to bounce off what's working and what's not. There's nobody to bounce off that idea of, well, maybe this process could be different because we're just doing it, right? But when we open up that community, and this goes into that third conversation topic of building relationships, when you open your community up and you're vulnerable and you say, hey, this is where I'm at, and your community is able to give you that feedback based off of their knowledge, based off of what's going on, um, that's huge. And that's where you build teams. You find virtual assistants who support you. Like Jenny is a phenomenal virtual assistant who is very supportive in different areas. But you find people, Sarah is always bouncing business off with me and reminding me when I'm getting too far in my head, right? You're able to really work with each other and have it to where you're not doing it by yourself. You have that feedback that otherwise would just bounce between yourself. Like it's very hard to take a system and elevate a system when you're just looking at it from one point of view, right?
Yeah. I want to touch on building relationships. You mentioned something with Jenny, but before I do that, I wanted to talk just 1 second about letting go.
Mhm.
Sometimes letting go means taking a moment and pause and push your own personal reset button.
Yep.
There's been times where I have a strong work ethic. So there's been times that I've been pushing myself. And then I said, wait a minute, today I'm not doing anything. The world is not going to end. I'm going to Netflix and chill, play Words of Friends, and call it a day. Sometimes you need that mental break. And I know when I think reset, you and I have been having conversations about you and biz storming and different things, and not having the guilt is very important when you make that reset, because you're making your own personal let go in order that when you do come back in front of what you need to work on, you're refreshed. So I wanted to touch on that.
No, and I agree completely. I'm taking 2 months off of the business right now
Mhm.
to take that pause and really figure out what it is that you need. And like you said, Netflix and chill sometimes. Just take a break. Watch some TV. Don't overstress yourself, and allow yourself that break. I think that's amazing. Yeah.
So we were talking about building relationships and collaborating with others. And I am a strong component of that. And it was instilled in me, not just in work, but in life, is just to be there for people. And I remember you mentioned Jenny, she's a phenomenal VA. But I remember just having a conversation with Jenny one day, and her and I also are in the same line of business as well. And she picked it up and we were talking, and she reached out to me. Well, we're not directly in the same small community, even though we're in a bigger community. And I was like, hey girl, it wasn't like she's not part of my smaller community. I don't want to talk to her. It was, what can I do to help? And I remember in the conversation that we had, just asking some questions, her asking the question of me, and me answering her question. But I took a deeper dive in our conversation, and I was like, so why is it that you don't want to do XYZ? And at that point, she said, it's not that I don't want to. It's just the fact that right now, these are my focus points. And I said, okay. I just took an extra step in our conversation. I said, okay, when you're ready, I want you to take a look at this particular thing. And Jenny has received 2 promotions within our organization in less than 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, building relationships, seeing other people shine within an overall community that we're all part of, even if she's not directly with me, it brings me so much joy. So I think it's important to that when we to fuel growth, I believe it's an all in, you sow and then you reap the reward. So if you just go into something when you're a business owner with a giver's heart, don't worry about when the blessing or when the finances or when certain things are coming. Just trust and know that it's coming, and it's going to come.
Well, and I think that's big on that gatekeeping as well, right? Just because they're not in your circle does not mean that they don't deserve to have the help, or doesn't mean that they shouldn't be given the same respect as if they were in your circle. And your circle can grow and can expand based off of who you allow in your circle. And it's the person, it's the type of people. The Keystone Network is bringing in amazing people who just elevate and uplift everyone. And if we were to, gatekeep who could come in and who couldn't, that would be a very difficult thing, because we would then be eliminating different things. And I mean, granted, we're a very LGBTQ plus, very like, we are a very open-minded network, right? We're very in a space of where we have support and love. Like, that is that basis, like you said, Terri, that giving, that being able to cooperate and help each other, more give than take, right? Um, it's that community and that kind of mindset that helps you build and open your business, because when your business is closed off, and we very much don't use the word niche, right? We never ask anybody to niche into a corner because we understand that there is a huge variety of people out there that need each individual business. Everybody should go travel and be on cruises and do different things with you, Terri. Everybody should run accountability inside of their business and have systems and processes. For Off the Beaten Path with Sarah, like, her leadership for certain businesses is just amazing. The HR directive of, hey, let's get you on that actual path to where your employees want to work for you. But we are able to bring that down a notch and say, these are the type of people we want to work with. Right? We want to work with other open-minded people. We want to work with people who want to grow and expand. We want to work with people who see that there is something in their systems that aren't working. We want to work with people who want to take cruises. We want to, so you're able to find the things that bring joy to you in your business and allow it to where you wake up and you take a client call at 8 a.m. because you like that client, not because you like 8 a.m.
What's wrong with 8 a.m., Brittany?
Look, Terri, so those are the things that you want to look at. And I think that's amazing. And building those relationships is phenomenal. So we are at 30 minutes. Terri, anything on building relationships that you want to cap before we leave?
No, I think we covered it. Brittany.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Terri is with 818 Harmony 818 Travels. I am with BizStorming. This is the Keystone Network. Unleashed, we normally have Sarah, who is off the beaten path, and she is on vacation, totally on an off the beaten path space, right? I love that.
Yes.
So we appreciate all of you guys so much. We look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday. I'm pretty sure my cohort will be here next Wednesday. Talk to you all later. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.